Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Business Banking at Jovia Financial Credit Union. We're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly advice, business tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview the top business leaders in the industry. And I'm very excited today because we have somebody with us who I would consider a Long Island celebrity. He is helping provide us business empowerment. He is a domainer. He is a Bagel Boss, which is probably how most people will know him. He's a serial entrepreneur and publisher with Long Island Media, longisland.com, Andrew Hazen. Andrew's experience and expertise in technology, business, and media is unparalleled, and we're grateful to have him on the show today. Andrew, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on today.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Very excited, very excited. So why don't we just start from the beginning?
Sure.
From the beginning, the dawn of time. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I was raised here on Long Island on the South Shore, graduated from Kennedy High School, went through the SUNY system at Oneonta, spent some time here at Nassau Community College, graduated from Oswego, went to law school in Michigan, and have always been a hardworking, entrepreneurial type of young spirit, if you will, and worked at Bagel Boss, as you mentioned, as a kid when they opened up the Merrick store in 1988, one of the first people that they hired. And I went from law school to not really enjoying the practice of law. I did it for, I think, approximately 10 weeks. I was doing mortgage foreclosures, so I was putting on a suit and tie and going to court and throwing people out of their homes on behalf of the bank, which I get it. People weren't paying their mortgages in the 90s. So when I was in law school, I was dabbling and self-taught with what's today known as search engine optimization or SEO. But I taught myself when I wasn't reading for law class, I was teaching myself how to get on the top of a search engine. This is pre-Google. This is Lycos, Alta Vista, Hotbot, Dogpile. So I taught myself how to get on the top of the search engines, and long story short, I created a business. My first business online was called lazystudents.com. And we did the research for, because part of the most difficult part was getting the research. If you're doing a scholarly paper, academic paper, you have to go out and get sources. So people would pay us. Back then, I had librarians throughout the country gathering the research. There was you couldn't scan 100 pages and email it that quickly in 1998.
Right.
So I had to teach myself how to get on the top of the search engines when someone was looking for term paper assistance. And lo and behold, I cracked the code and, like the commercial, the orders flooded in 40 to 80 a day. And when I gave up law, I knew that I wanted to be in the internet business.
Yeah.
And then I launched an internet marketing company here on Long Island called Prime Visibility. Started it by myself and grew it to approximately 63 people. Again, all here on Long Island. We had offices in Bethpage, ultimately in Melville. It started in Syosset. And that company was acquired by private equity in 2007. I stayed on, and we sold it again to a public company in 2011. And then when most people would relax and have a beer and enjoy some sun, I jumped into a dozen other ventures, from Launchpad, which is it's like a Shark Tank and a WeWork here on Long Island. And my dear friend of 35 years, Adam Rosner, whose family started Bagel Boss, I'd always been after him to get more involved and help them grow the family business from 11 some odd stores to a national brand. And because I am a domainer, which we could talk about, but because I invest in domain names and my background and passions with internet marketing, for the past 12 years, I've been running bagelofthemonth.com. So I was basically, this is before ghost kitchens and Grubhub and DoorDash. I was essentially taking bagels from Bagel Boss and taking orders over the internet and having Bagel Boss fulfill them. So I remember as a kid, before the internet, people spoke to you online at the bagel store in Merrick.
Yes.
And they would say, I'm going to visit where can I travel with these? I'm traveling to Michigan. I'm going back to Florida. Can I pack the bagels? How should I pack them? And this is like when they had the Pear of the Month Club and maybe a Cigar of the Month Club.
Sure.
So I said to Adam, I got to do a Bagel of the Month Club. And he's like, yeah, you bring me the orders and I'll ship them for you. Well, lo and behold, I built a mid six-figure business out of his store. And after having exited my business, I pressed upon him for a number of years to let me invest, become a partner, and help, build Bagel Boss into a national brand, because we're coming up on 50 years here as a brand on Long Island, but take our iconic status and help grow it. So for the past 3 years, I've been working on that as the CEO of Bagel Boss. We're now up to almost 30 stores. We're opening 6 to 8 stores in Florida, 3 stores in California. We've opened in New Jersey. We're opening more here on Long Island. And, this is where I reside. My family, my 3 boys, my wife teaches on Long Island. My parents are here, my in-laws, my brother, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law. So, and I own longisland.com. So, in my spare time, or I shouldn't say in my spare time, because
you don't have any.
I spent actually quite a lot of time on longisland.com, where the number one place to go for, things to do and places to go and things to eat. So we're getting over 1 million visitors a month where people are looking for what's going on Long Island. So whether I'm waking up early to make the bagels to see the latest breaking news to what's happening towards the end of the day, kind of really tied into Long Island, its community, and what it has to offer everyone.
Yeah. Well, as a Long Islander, I appreciate all the great, wonderful resources that we have here. So it's great to have a spot where you can kind of a one-stop shop where you can see everything. I can also tell you, as a Bagel Boss fan myself personally, I get the orders and I have to bring them. We have friends in North Carolina, so we get a couple of bags and then we freeze them and we bring them down.
Right.
So
well, now you can ship them through us.
Ship them through you.
It's really easy. We actually ship nationwide, and it's amazing because people are surprised. We get standing orders from Hawaii, Alaska, Chicago.
Wow.
Because we ship FedEx, so it's there the next day. Mm-hmm. So it's really been, it's, I guess, a passion of mine, because people are really, thankful. You get the emails or the testimonials on social media where it's like, I left New York 15 years ago. My children don't know what a bialy is. Or they've never seen a real cinnamon raisin bagel that has raisins in it. Or the mailman wants to kill me because his truck smells like everything bagels for the last 4 hours and I'm starving. So, and this has been going on for 12 plus years. So now that I could take that with the Bagel Boss brand and open up stores is really what I've been spending a lot of time on.
Yeah, I can see the demand for it, because I know if I move out of state, there's 2 things I'll miss. It's bagels and pizza, because nobody does that like New York.
Yep, and we own pizzabagels.com. I'm sure there's a lot of names. We own longislandcolleges.com, longislandschools.com. There's very few things that we could talk about that may not be domain related.
Now, one of the things I really enjoyed seeing that you worked with was you also worked with, Launchpad we can talk about a little bit, but the bobbleheads.
Sure.
That's a fun endeavor.
Yeah. So, since we discussed my early skill set of getting on the top of the search engines, probably back sometime in the 90s, my dad was in the premium and promotion business. Mm-hmm. And the internet actually hurt that industry, because it went from relationships to now people searching online.
Sure,
for imprinted pens, shirts, hats, the tchotchkes, the giveaways. So I was actually practicing law. It was probably it was probably in the mid-90s. I was practicing law for a little while, and I said to my dad, "What do you know about bobbleheads?" He goes, "Well, I know their heads bobble." So I said, "Listen, I'm going to start buying them wholesale. I'm going to have them shipped to your office, and I'm going to build a website. And when people type in bobbleheads, we're going to be number one." And that's exactly what we did. So what we were doing is we were bringing in, there's only a handful of manufacturers. So we were bringing in the Star Wars, the Bazooka Joe, the Betty Boop, like everyone else.
Yeah.
So when I sold my business and left, when I sold in 2007, I said, you know what? Let's manufacture our own bobbleheads and let's get licenses. And he's like, well, how are we going to do that? I said, I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going to go to China. I'm going to find factories. Don't worry. I'm going to come back. and that's what we did. So we built a custom bobblehead business where, we can make one-off custom bobblehead of you. Mm-hmm. So it's a great gift or way of saying thank you or something unique. I've had the pleasure of giving a handful of billionaires a custom bobblehead of themselves, which they have all the money in the world, but nobody gave them their own bobblehead. To giveaways, from here for the Allied Ducks, we've made bobbleheads of Quacker Jacks for the Islanders. So it's a really fun business that people get a little nervous when they see my office because there's literally 5,000 bobbleheads on the shelves and on the walls. But that's been something I've been doing with my dad, and we've been passionate about for, easily 12 to 15 years.
You are listening to Tara Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, and today our guest is domainer, bagel boss, serial entrepreneur, and Long Island media publisher, Andrew Hazen. I'm sure there's a lot of misconceptions about what you do because, I hear, serial entrepreneur. I think of, longisland.com. But I see all the pieces and I go, well, that's not really, that's kind of a guy who's all over the place. But
right.
You are not that.
Right.
I can see, I can hear by our conversation that everything is very strategic about what you do. You have these ideas but they're all kind of interrelated. Can you tell us about the misconceptions of Andrew here?
Well, number one, I own serialentrepreneurs.com.
So so there you go. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And, I think a lot of people personally think I'm a techie, and I'm not. They think I know how to code. They think I know how to fix computers. Mm-hmm. I don't. I think the misconception is it's not that technology is expensive and you can go about it a whole host of wrong ways, but you can do an MVP, a minimal viable product, and test something very quickly and easy to see if it has scale, capability, everything from launching a Facebook page, an Etsy page, selling on eBay, doing a landing page for email acquisition. And between Fiverr today and third-party freelancers and putting out things for bid and AI, which I'm really deep now in AI. I'm down the rabbit hole on the new. I just got turned on literally this week from a great entrepreneur friend, Mike Littman, turned me on to the paid version of ChatGPT. Oh, and if for $20 a month, it's mind-blowing. Like if my son's a graphic designer, but the things that you could do now with artificial intelligence. So the misconception is you don't need $100,000 and an army of people to get things done. You need to surround yourself with the right people, but you could, if you have an idea or you think something's valid, if you have a plan and do it precisely. And I appreciate what you said. It doesn't sound like, sounds like what I do is strategic. With these domain names, I don't buy them, just buy them. I see businesses in every name that I own. I buy a name and it can be launched into a business.
Right.
Steaksdelivered.com, I'm delivering steaks. Vodkadelivered.com, I'm delivering vodka. Pizzabagels.com, we're selling pizza bagels. Groceries.org, we're an association for grocery owners. So there's businesses behind it. There's just not enough hours in the day, which is, a challenge in and of itself.
Yeah, and I would say, if I'm thinking of what is a day in the life for you that's probably that's the biggest challenge. You just need more time.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? What are the challenges that you see as you're going about your day?
Yeah, building and having a solid team, that's always a challenge. Finding the right people and those that, I get it at the end of the day, it's not always their business as much as it is mine. Mm-hmm. But, building a core team when I was able and blessed to do it at Prime Visibility, and I've done it, a couple of times since, but it's a lot. I'm not a sports person. I don't watch sports. I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't, to me, business or entrepreneurship, that's my sport. That's what I train hard every day for. I practice, I execute, I fail, I lose money, I make money. I do great partnerships, I do bad partnerships, but that's my sport. 7 days a week, there's no day of rest for me, but that's because I enjoy it. I love what I do, and I think it's shown to people that I work with, and I think it rubs off on my family.
Now, the passion really does show through.
Yeah, thank you.
And so I'm wondering, were there any businesses that you were passionate about? You were like, nobody's ever thought of this. This is going to be a great business. And for some reason, it didn't resonate. And how did you react with that?
Great question. Something we toyed with, which was really probably just too early and premature, was a venture I did with a dear friend of mine and a professional doctor, a renowned doctor. But we did medical records up online way before people talk about medical records. One of my kids had a horrible food allergies, and had some bad situations. So we devised this whole model where if someone found you unconscious, they could literally from a bracelet or your phone go up into the cloud and find out contact information, allergies. So that didn't make it again, because I think it was before its time, or a lot of HIPAA concerns and third-party things like that. But a lot of the getting into internet marketing early in 1998. That was, something that was, the timing was fortunate. So it wasn't like I invented it, but I just got in at the right time. I don't think I've seen potential opportunities of things that don't exist, but haven't necessarily always built them.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's a perfect example. It's funny. A lot of what you're doing, I feel like it's all of it. It's ahead of its time. Because you were into the domain stuff before that was really a thing. So you were a GoDaddy before GoDaddy. Right. You did the bobbleheads before the pop figures were so
correct
huge.
Before Funko, sure.
So again, you're kind of ahead of your time there. Was there ever conversely then like an idea that you thought, well, I could do this, but this is kind of dopey. This will never succeed. And then... Yeah,
no, I've done that with a bunch of domains that I've launched businesses on, and I could have spent, tens of thousands of dollars on names and ideas and business plans, and they've gone south. I was in the billboard business pretty early on, mobile billboard truck company in the mid, 2006 or 7. So I had one of those box trucks that on all four sides, the sides flipped and rotated 3 times. It wasn't digital or LED. It was just almost like a louver that had like a triangle pyramid that just kept rotating through a motor. And everyone thought I was crazy. I read this thing in Entrepreneur Magazine about this guy making these trucks in Tennessee, and I just thought about it. It's eyeballs, it's traffic, it's what people want. So I approached a bunch of people. I think the trucks were maybe $30,000, $40,000. Nobody wanted to do it with me. I mentioned my friend Adam from Bagel Boss. I twisted his arm to invest with me, and he did it. And we get this mobile billboard truck, and after struggling for about 4 or 5 months, we landed a national healthcare company that signed a 1-year contract for $48,000 a month. So we took no one believed in the idea of the model, and we took a risk on a $40,000 investment, which yielded a $500,000 contract for advertising.
Wow.
So then I built, then we bought a second truck, and that's when all these LEDs and digital things started coming into play. And I don't want to say our truck was outdated or, it still wasn't outdated, but to your point of, we invested some capital, we bought additional assets, and didn't really execute on the second vehicle.
Huh. Well, yeah, and it's interesting because I know working in the city for a number of years, that was one of the things I always found fun was when you see a truck that's a branded truck go by, like Jekyll and Hyde.
Sure.
In the city for years. I'm sure I could think of other ones.
Yeah, it's sitting in front of my office now with Bagel Boss promotions and LongIsland.com promotions. So it's not that it's not going to use; it's just not that it's just not being driven.
It's not as mobile. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Can you share with us, like, out of all the accomplishments that you've made, I mean, and there are many, which one is the one that stands out to you as, like, that's the shining moment? Like, that's the one that, all right, I reached the pinnacle, or has that not come?
Right. Well, I mean, from a business perspective,
yeah,
probably with the exit from Prime Visibility. I mean, I was fairly young in my late 20s. Was again very blessed and fortunate to be with the right people. I met a gentleman named Steve Rosenberg, who was the former president of NBC Universal. And he literally, I was doing a speaking engagement at the Long Island Ad Club at Newsday. There's about 100 people in the room. I just written a book, Search Engine Optimization, Plain and Simple. And someone in the audience is like, hey, you should come meet this guy at our office in Islandia. And I was like, Islandia? Where's Islandia? Like, I don't go past 110. I'm a Nassau guy. They explained to me where it was. This is like in 2006. Drove out there, and I meet this guy, go into this conference room, and there's a guy's there with a Yankee baseball cap and jeans and a T-shirt. And he's like, tell him what you do. And I'm like, you know what a bobblehead is? He's like, yeah. I'm like, go to Google, type in bobbleheads. I'm like, you see I'm number one? He goes, yeah. I said, well, I buy them, from, like, it was actually a Jim Cramer bobblehead. So I go, you know Jim Cramer? He goes, yeah.
That's perfect.
So I go, I buy them from NBC, and I sell them for like 5X. And he goes, do you know who I am? I go, they said your name is Steve Rosenberg. He goes, well, I'm the former president of NBC Universal. He goes, how the do you do that? I explained to him what the search engine optimization was, and he literally just said to me, do you want to sell your company? I mean, I wasn't thinking about it, wasn't planning it, I wasn't prepared for it, but, I think that was a pinnacle moment, meeting Steve, which was 2006, selling in 2007, learning from him again for the following 4 years, and still a dear friend who I speak to and look to for mentorship. But, started that business by myself. And when we had 63 people, and now that I look at it, a decade plus later, some of these people are at the highest levels of marketing or digital at Google, Amazon, Estee Lauder, Priceline, Hotels.com. And to think that they started, I used to call Prime Visibility Prime University, because people would come, we'd pay them back then maybe $35,000, $50,000. And then they were so good, my accounts, or other people just hiring them for like 80 to 90 to leave. And I couldn't have, I was hiring someone self-funded.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you come here, you learn, stay here for a year, and you'll get a job for $90,000 in the city. And those people today, a lot of people that started there not even knowing like what SEO was, and they graduated from college and wanted to be in marketing. And now, like I said, some of these people have the top level digital marketing jobs at some of the Fortune 500 brands.
And to me, that says you were doing something right.
Yeah, well, not just me. I had a lot of good people on my team. That's for sure.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio. Our guest today is domainer, Bagel Boss, serial entrepreneur, and Long Island media publisher, Andrew Hazen. And one of the things that stood out to me, and I just don't really fully understand it, so I'd love for you to explain a little bit, your experience with the corporate and securities group. So
sure.
You're of Counsel there? Or?
Sure. This is a law firm, Ruskin Moscou Faltischek, which is literally across the street from where we're speaking at the plaza. So believe it or not, I have an office there that views down on this parking lot. I don't go there that often, but yeah, so I'm of Counsel. When I left Prime Visibility in 2011 or 2012, I'm good friends with Mike Faltischek, who's one of the name partners of Ruskin Moscou Faltischek. And he said, like, look, you've got an amazing background and expertise in domain names and internet marketing and copyright and building sites and meta tags. And I go, yeah. And he goes, and you're also a lawyer, right? And I'm like, yeah, I am a lawyer. So he goes, why don't you come work with us? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, we'll give you a job. We'll give you an office. And I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. So I joined the firm in like 2012, still associated with them. And, whether someone has a domain name dispute, a firm wants to buy a name, I've helped local Long Island pro bono work where we've helped some well-known Long Island charities acquire their domain name as a .org, helping with valuations, helping with internet or e-commerce businesses. And what the law firm may have a probiotics customer or a dentist that comes up with a great idea that now needs to sell it on the internet. So how do they go about doing that? By having me, involved with the firm, I'm able to leverage, again, some expertise and not have them waste time, money, and energy in spending $20,000, $30,000 on a build-out when they can test something, again, to put out a minimal viable product and see if it's going to work. So, I play lawyer as well. And, I really, again, it's a great group of attorneys, which is why when I decided to join, I wanted to be with people that thought like I did and had the same mindset, and it's a very entrepreneurial law firm, I think, especially to take on someone, like myself.
Now, how does someone like you have a work-life balance? Because, as you said, you enjoy what you do, so certainly while you're out there being a serial entrepreneur and doing all this great work, impactful work on Long Island, but how do you balance that with having 3 kids, with having family life and so on?
Yeah, well, so my boys are older now, but I've always worked on Long Island, so I never worked in Manhattan.
Right.
I worked in Syosset, I worked in Bethpage and Melville, offices now in Jericho. I'm probably never more than 3 to 5 miles my office from where I live. Mm-hmm. So, and I do go in 6-7 days a week, and my family they know that. I mean, when my kids have, games, again, they're older now, but back in the day, when they had a sporting event or something was going on, my wife would tell me or text me, hey, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, Spencer has this, Dylan has that, and I would just show up. I'd be at the field, I'd do my thing, and then I would leave, and, but in the beginning, it was tough. The early years of Prime Visibility, no question, when the kids were really young, and my wife's a teacher, she took years off to obviously raise the children, but, a lot of time. I mean, I used to look forward to the weekends where I used to go in and do the billing, because I used to create all the invoices twice a month on the 1st and the 15th. Mm-hmm. So that was my time to, ring the bell in the office, if you will, and make sure we had the income coming in. But that was back then a half a day, project for me. And, I have a very supportive wife. I know her my whole life. I grew up across the street from her, was literally their Newsday paper boy. I'm a year older, so we didn't date. We're not high school sweethearts. We didn't get really involved till I was in law school. But I know my wife, my in-laws, my entire life, my parents, my in-laws still live across the street from each other. So it's, the beauty of Long Island. We, of course, well, not of course, we have moved We still live on Long Island, but we've moved further enough away so they don't have to sleep over. Is the key. But
just a little comfortable distance.
Exactly. But I still work with my dad. I see him every day, and we are a very close family.
Well, that's really very refreshing because you don't see that as much anymore. It's kind of like that old school, like that the old family feel. Very traditional, but also that you've now thrived in a very forward-thinking manner.
Right. Well, I own all their domain names, so if they're not well behaved, we can point them to a different website. But yes, before
we're putting you at the bottom of Google now.
That's right. Yes,
that's great. Now, are there any businesses that you're thinking, without giving away anything? Of course,
I'm always thinking.
No proprietary secrets, but you strike me as the type that you are. You're constantly moving and constantly thinking about. What are some of the businesses that you're seeing kind of on the horizon that you'd like to explore?
Well, I love the whole notion of what's going on with AI. I think there may be some, we mentioned actually on the show, ironically, lazystudents.com. I think there may be some bringing that back to life with the use of AI. I'm more intrigued these days on two things. A, launching businesses purely off of a domain, whether it's informational, like a longisland.com, or it's content. I think I recently bought something like hangoverremedies.com because so much the search traffic is so great for people looking for the remedies that you can make advertising revenue off of the display ads. So I think that's something interesting, and I'm interested in passive income, but not from a traditional real estate perspective. So I'm exploring other businesses that leveraging again my expertise and knowledge that could be set up with passive income streams.
Yeah, something to think about. Now, are you ever going to be on Shark Tank?
We've made bobbleheads of Damon, John, and Mr. Wonderful. I met them at one of the licensing shows and went to the Empire State Building and met Damon. They ordered a bunch of custom bottle stoppers because they're into wine.
Yeah.
So they ordered custom of Damon's head and Kevin O'Leary's head on bottle stoppers. So I've made bobbleheads of them. I don't think I'm going to be on Shark Tank. That's part of what we do with Launchpad, looking to invest in companies.
Sure, yeah.
But no, I own pitchcontest.com, so maybe we'll start our own platform one day. But I just keep having fun and following the path.
You don't own us, do you?
No.
Okay, just checking. All right, well, listen, where can we find information about you?
The best place would probably be my domain. Just go to andrewhazen.com, Hazen, andrewhazen.com. And whether it's LinkedIn, email, Twitter, whatever it may be, I own all my handles as my name, and that's the best way to reach me. I am online probably 18 hours a day.
Like a lot of us. Any parting thoughts?
No. I hope if there's any entrepreneurs listening out there or people looking to launch their own business, I would just recommend, persevere, be positive, surround yourself with a great people, avoid the naysayers, and just persevere. Don't give up.
I love it. Well, thank you very much for being on the show today, Andrew. It was great to speak with you.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, I want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Anisha Boston Hill, your co-hosts and producers. Visit nccradio.org for more information. We're available on Odyssey, TuneIn, iHeartRadio as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Voice of National Community College, 90.3 WHPC.